Right now at noon, the snow is falling here in Madison. I'll talk about how long it will last coming up.
Plus, President Trump doubles down on tariffs and shrinking the size of the federal government. New reactions to last night's address. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us on a snowy Wednesday afternoon. I'm Josh Spreiter. We begin with those wet and windy conditions across southern Wisconsin at this hour. What started as rain has now turned to snow for many of us today. First Warn meteorologist Jacob Montesano is here with the latest track. And wow, it's really coming down out there.
Yeah, it actually is coming down at a lighter pace compared to it a few hours ago, but definitely still coming down at a moderate level. And the tornado sirens are being tested right now at noon, so not sure if that's picking up on the microphone, but with the snow and the wind, there's just kind of a lot of noise out here. Let's take a look at the alert day conditions. They will continue through the evening, mostly for the wind and the snow. The rain is pretty much over, although the snow we're seeing right now is a very wet snow, so we're going to continue to see moisture pile up. Now, as we take a look at the current radar, pretty much all of our area seeing snow at this point, or at least not seeing rainfall. It has completely transitioned into snowfall. The heaviest bands look like they have just passed through Madison and are pushing further south, but we're still expect to see that falling snow for the next several hours. The heavier bands, though, likely going to impact Janesville, Monroe, a lot of Greene and Rock counties over the next hour or so. Looking at some other parts of our area up to the north, snow, especially towards the northwestern portion of our area in Juneau, Adams County, a little bit lighter. To the north and northeast of Madison, still seeing some of those heavier bands of snowfall. But let's take a look at how much rain we've seen, and we certainly have had plenty of it. And this is definitely good news considering the drought situation that has kind of been forming across southern Wisconsin. This will certainly help. Over an inch for a lot of our area. This is radar estimated, but we still probably saw roughly this amount of rainfall for each individual location. Looking back at the current conditions, visibility is a little bit low, especially off to the north, down to around a half mile, but visibility isn't too hazardous, but definitely is noticeable if you're driving out there. As far as accumulation goes, the grass definitely has some snow on it, also the trees, but where I'm standing on the cement right now is mostly slush, and we'll have more on the roads in just a moment. The other hazard we're dealing with is the winds, and those are really picking up. Gusts are over 30 miles per hour, especially for Madison and areas to the west, and the winds, they're going to continue to pick up throughout the afternoon. As far as the snowfall goes, we're going to see that consistent snow for the next hour or two, but then later in the afternoon, that's when we'll begin to break up around 3 to 4 p.m. Most of it will be done by around 6. So we're going to continue to see more accumulation, and I'll continue having more on the forecast coming up a little bit later.
I feel like this is the most Wisconsin live shot. You have the tornado sirens being tested and
right.
Snowing outside.
Exactly.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Let's get a look at those current conditions outside. Jalen Banks is on the live drive for us this afternoon. Jalen, how are the roads?
Good afternoon, Josh and everybody at home. I'm currently eastbound on the Beltline, getting ready to drive past the Stoughton Road exit. I'm going to flip the camera here around so you guys can see it. I would say, as of right now, the snow isn't really sticking on the road. The roads are slick, however, because the snow is melting. I will say, though, that sitting in the car, our visibility is being impacted just by all the snow and the wind. Being on the Beltline currently, I have seen a few plow trucks on the Beltline. They're hitting some of the sides, getting some of that snow off. I was on Madison's west side before we hopped on the Beltline, saw some trucks out there, some of those plows out there knocking the snow off the roads. Haven't seen any salt trucks just yet. I'd imagine that they may hit the roads just to treat it a little bit. But as of right now, the roads are relatively clear, little slick because it's melting right on impact, but have seen some plows out, which shows, just how hard it is snowing up until this point. But we'll continue to keep you updated throughout the day on road conditions and, keep you updated with our First Warn weather team. But for now, reporting on Madison's east side on the Beltline, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
All right, Jalen, thank you. You can track those changing conditions for yourself on the First Warn weather app. It has hourly forecasts, road conditions, and school closings. We already have some schools announcing they are closing early today. Just download it for free wherever you get your apps. Right now, the Dane County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help after a fight outside a bar left a man with life-threatening injuries. That fight happened outside of Jerry's Place on North Fair Oaks Avenue Saturday night. According to investigators, Leron Smith Brookins entered the bar to confront another man. Both men went outside where the fight broke out. During the fight, Smith Brookins allegedly used a box cutter. A 46-year-old man later was dropped off at an emergency room. Smith Brookins was arrested Sunday. Detectives are hoping to interview people who witnessed the altercation certification. You can leave messages at 608-284-6900 or online. President Trump is celebrating the actions of his second term so far in a 100-minute speech to Congress and the nation. CBS's Natalie Brand is on Capitol Hill with the potential movement on tariffs as soon as today.
Do you know who number 2 is? George Washington. How about that? How about that?
President Trump touted swift and unrelenting actions during the first 6 weeks of his second term, from border security.
They heard my words and they chose not to come.
To shrinking the size of the federal government.
I imposed an immediate freeze on all federal hiring, a freeze on all new federal regulations, and a freeze on all foreign aid.
Republicans reveled in the campaign-style speech while Democrats protested. Texas Congressman Al Green was even escorted from the chamber. The official Democratic response from Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin warned of a reckless approach, and she took aim at advisor Elon Musk.
Is there anyone in America who is comfortable with him and his gang of 20-year-olds using their own computer servers to poke through your tax returns, your health information, and your bank accounts?
A CBS News poll out this morning shows around 76% of a heavily Republican audience watching last night approved of the president's speech.
But as fears of a trade war dampen consumer confidence, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick promised some movement on tariffs against Canada and Mexico as soon as today.
It will not eliminate the tariffs, but it might modify the tariffs somewhat.
There could also be movement with Ukraine after a letter from President Zelensky to President Trump following last week's explosive Oval Office meeting.
We are where we are now. We think this was a positive step.
Also revealed last night, the arrest of one of the suspected planners of the 2021 bombing attack outside Kabul that killed 13 U.S. service members in Afghanistan. That suspect is due in a Virginia courtroom this afternoon. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Still ahead for us this afternoon when toymaker Mattel is set to release a new line of Barbies, plus why 2 ports near the Panama Canal will soon be under U.S. control.
Two ports near the Panama Canal will soon be under U.S. control. That's after the Hong Kong-based firm that owns the ports struck a $23 billion deal to sell all of their shares to a group led by American investment company BlackRock. President Donald Trump praised the deal during his joint address to Congress last night after weeks of pushing for the U.S. to take the canal back. The deal also gives the BlackRock consortium controlling interest for ports in 23 other countries, including Mexico, Egypt, and Australia. Austin, Texas is now the latest city to shift into self-driving cars. Riders there can now hail an autonomous vehicle through Uber's partnership with Waymo. The robo-taxi company already operates in Phoenix, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. The partnership between Uber and Waymo is expected to expand to the East Coast later this year in Atlanta. And Mattel has released its new line of Barbies, celebrating friendship for International Women's Day. Among the duos honored are U.S. gymnastics gold medalists and teammates Jade Carey and Jordan Childs. Both women say they hope their dolls will inspire the next generation of female athletes. International Women's Day is March 8th. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Here's a look at the stocks at the noon hour. The Dow is up 335 points, NASDAQ up 170, and the S&P 500 up 16. Our call for action volunteers are in the building this afternoon, taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. Call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call-for-action. We have today's farm numbers ahead, and Jacob returns with the first warn forecast, and later on Live at 4, Dr. Zorba Pastor on whether Wisconsin has enough vaccinations to be ready for a potential measles outbreak. Pam Yankee took her farm show on the road to Fenimore today, so here are your farm numbers. Meteorologist Jacob Montesano has the first warn forecast, and he's still drying off from all that wet, heavy snow out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's showing up, but my hair is still a little bit wet. That snow is a very wet snow, which could create some issues with possible branches falling. But the good news is that with the wind, we're not going to see a lot of blowing snow because that snow is very wet. So it's kind of a little bit of good news, a little bit of bad news with that. So alert day conditions are expected to continue through the evening, especially that wind will continue through the evening. The snow will end earlier, and then the wind going to keep up as we head into the early overnight hours. So looking at the current radar, again, the heaviest bands of snow just to the south and southeast of Madison, pushing through the south. Areas north and west and northwest of Madison, overall, not really seeing a lot of heavy snow, but still seeing that light snow that may still accumulate for the next couple of hours. So again, snow is expected to continue at a consistent pace for about 2 more hours. But as we get towards around 3 to 4 p.m., that snow is really going to break up. And by the time we get to around 6 to 7, it's really going to be pretty much done. Maybe a few lingering flurries for eastern counties, but that'll be just about it. And then we'll continue to see cloudy skies through midnight with clear skies by Thursday morning. So accumulation going forward, probably less than an inch for Madison and areas to the west, maybe about 1 to 2 inches for places north and east of Madison that will see the snow last just a little bit longer. But even the minor accumulation we will see going forward could still create some more hazardous travel, especially considering for areas north and west, you folks have been seeing snowfall for a lot longer. Now, as we take a look at the other hazard, there's a wind advisory in effect until 9 p.m. for just about everybody. Juneau and Adams County are not included in this, but everyone else is, and a high wind warning further southwest in Iowa. And those winds are really going to be gusting throughout the afternoon up to around 40 to 45 miles per hour. And it's going to be out of the northwest, which will really cool the temperatures down throughout the evening. And once we get to the evening, again, we're still going to see some windy weather. So as I mentioned, the wind will last a lot longer than the snowfall will. And as we get towards Thursday morning, it'll be a lot better with some breezy conditions throughout the day. But by Thursday evening, the winds will have calmed down by then. Now, I do want to briefly touch on our next chance of snow. Although right now it looks like a lot of the area may miss out on snowfall entirely. So this is Thursday at 6 p.m. As we get into the overnight hours, look to the south and west. We'll see some light snow showers move in. Right now, though, it looks like a lot of the snow will stay south of our area entirely. But the best chance to see snow will obviously be for areas south of Madison. Places north, especially around the Dells, it looks very likely that you folks won't see any snow at all. But definitely those of you from Platteville to Monroe to Janesville definitely could see some snow out of this. Right now, the forecast has it south of our area entirely, but that definitely could creep up. And it looks like it will mostly be an early morning Friday system. By Friday afternoon, it looks like it will clear out, even if it is impacting our area. So here's a look at the 7 to 10 day forecast. There is very good news by the time we get to next week. Take a look at these highs. We could be not just in the 60s, but possibly flirting with 70 for a few locations. We have yet to hit 60 so far this year. Looks very likely that next week will be the first time we do it this year, possibly even some 70s. So although it may be hard to think about 60s right now with that snowfall out there, it is going to be a lot better next week. Also with that snowfall, it will likely melt very quickly. And as I mentioned, because the snow is very wet, we're not going to be dealing with a lot of blowing snow despite the wind. So still messy for the next couple of hours, but there's definitely good news in the forecast, especially by next week.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times we're talking about extreme cold after a system like this, so I'll take the warm. Thank you, Jacob. Let's see what Howard's working on at the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
With today being Ash Wednesday, Christians around the world are receiving ashes to recognize the beginning of Lent. And beyond the many observances that take place during this time, many of you will be eating a lot more fish. So to help keep things exciting, we came up with a new fish dish that I know you're going to love. We start off by cutting about 1.5 pounds of fish fillets into individual portions. Or even easier, you can buy them pre-portioned from the freezer case. We lay them on a baking dish and set them aside for a sec while we mix together some sour cream, Parmesan cheese, paprika, and a little salt and pepper. Now, we spoon this over each fillet and finish them off with a bit of Italian breadcrumbs. This is going to add a ton of flavor. Right before popping these in the oven, we drizzle on some melted butter, and that's it. And if you're wondering what's the best fish to use, we like a mild whitefish like cod, haddock, or farm-raised catfish. When this comes out of the oven piping hot, you'll get the creaminess of the sour cream blended with the Parmesan, which is one amazing combo. It's so good, I hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our sour cream crown fish fillets, so you'll have a new way to keep things interesting. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a flavor-packed way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Up next at noon, Angie Horkin from the Wisconsin Beef Council inspiring us with some recipes perfect for St. Patrick's Day. Welcome back. Angie Horkin with the Wisconsin Beef Council is joining us. You're getting us ready for St. Patty's Day.
I am. I have recipes for tomorrow and the following up till St. Patty's Day.
I love
today's
that.
Ash Wednesday.
I know. You're getting us prepared because now's the time to get ready.
Yeah, think about it. Make your menu. I like talking corned beef, obviously, because it might be one of those beef cuts you only make one time a year.
A special occasion.
Special occasion. So, okay, this recipe I'm showing today is sous vide corned beef.
Ooh.
And I haven't done it too many times in the sous vide, but it turned out really, really good. It tenderized it. So you take your corned beef. I took it out of the packaging from the store, and I used that little seasoning pack that comes with it and put it in here, and then I did vacuum seal it. But you could definitely put this in a large plastic bag, submerge it in the water, and it'll push the air out and then kind of close it up. So you don't really need to invest in a vacuum sealer if you have the sous vide wand. Then you fill your tub with water. You sous vide this brisket at 190 degrees. So you set your wand for 190, and then it needs to sous vide 24 hours.
So a day.
So plan ahead. Plan 24 hours in advance before you want to get out.
Not a last minute thing to do, yes.
No. But once you really take it out of the sous vide bath, it's ready. You don't need to then do any extra steps. Like if you sous vide steaks, usually then you sear them in a cast iron pan or on a grill. You don't have to do that. And it really tenderizes it.
It looks delicious.
So another great way to do corned beef is a slow cooker all day. Tenderizes
nice
it.
And tender, yeah.
Or in a stock pot on your stovetop or in your oven. So that long, slow braising cooking method with a lot of liquid. Then this recipe calls to do your cabbage in the sous vide too. So this is half of a cabbage head. You put this in the last 2 hours. And in here I have a little apple cider vinegar, some caraway seeds, and then celery salt. And it's really good. It's really tangy, and it's still got a little crunch to it. So if you're a cabbage lover, try that. So this is our sous vide corned beef and cabbage meal. And of course, you could do potatoes, carrots with it too. But with the prices of corned beef now, they're pretty reasonable. $6 to $8 is what I've been seeing. And this is 8 servings. If you buy a 3-pounder, you're looking at $3.50 a serving.
That's not bad. All right, we got 20 seconds. So
okay, so we got a Reuben dip. Go to beeftips.com,
I'm gonna go right
find
into
the
it
recipe.
here.
But yeah, it's all the great Reuben ingredients mixed
Look at that
together
right there.
with a chunk of cream cheese, of course, and then in the oven about 20 minutes. I did it 20 minutes.
That was so good.
Right, a little sauerkraut, Swiss cheese, your corned beef, the cream cheese,
all my favorites.
I think a little mayo in there too.
Well, happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Well, let's go to Jacob with a final check of the forecast. It's so good, Jacob.
Yeah, and honestly, that sounds really good, especially on a day like today when many people are probably going to want to stay inside. But over the next 7 to 10 days, there might be a lot of people outside with these temperatures. We'll be up near 50 on Sunday, near 60, and then middle 60s for the start of next work week. We do have a chance of some rainfall, but beyond that, it's going to be very, very nice. Could be a little bit windy, but that will actually help the temperatures warm up. So it may not feel like it right now, but there is very spring-like weather on the way in just a couple of days.
All right, Jacob, thanks for joining us. Stay safe, everyone. We're back with more Alert Day coverage live at 4.